Hey, Shane,
Yes, Vince.
have you seen Ford v Ferrari?
No.
Well, you have now.
Yep. I have seen car go fast.
Car goes so, dude. I'll be honest. Did you drive your car a little faster the next time you drove?
I wish I could say yes, but I constantly deal with traffic. So
That was like a funny story they talked about. Is a lot of the crew apparently after shooting they would drive the cars a little hot on the way home.
No kidding, I bet.
I mean, could you blame them?
No.
They're constantly around one of the coolest cars ever.
Truly.
Going vroom vroom fast.
Yeah. Vroom, vroom, fast, very fast, vroom.
That's actually the log line of the movie. That's how they pitched it. Then
Yeah.
they went Ford.
Vroom, vroom, fast,
Vroom,
very
vroom,
fast, vroom.
Ford, Ferrari.
Ford, vroom, Ferrari, vroom.
Guys, this time the Americans are the good guys.
Whoa.
You know the funny thing about that is
Wow,
James Mangold.
breaking tradition.
What's that Parks and Rec joke where he's like, no, I don't want to be them. They're the bad guys of Rocky 4. Can I be Russia or can I be Germany? Germany's never been the bad guys. You're like, hey. Anyway,
This is an alternate history where America was a little good, actually.
yeah. Damn. What'd you think of this movie, man?
I really, really, really liked it. I mean, as a dude who likes dad dude movies, this fit right in that wheelhouse.
Yeah. It's
Hey,
like,
wheel,
cause car.
puns, wheel pun. I'm doing so good so far.
You're doing great, buddy. Yeah, no, it's dad cinema to be certain.
Yeah,
I think James Mangold, we mentioned at the end of the last one, James Mangold, king of dad cinema, I think.
Truly.
Not sure there's anybody quite doing the Lord's work in that way quite like him. Between Walk the Line, 310 to Yuma,
yeah,
the new Indiana Jones that's coming out.
yeah.
Ford v Ferrari being, I think, the best example.
I would argue Logan.
Logan, the Western element makes it.
Well, and just the dad element.
Yeah. Truly.
I mean, yeah.
To be clear, dad cinema doesn't have to be about a dad. If you don't know what dad cinema is, get with it.
We'll talk about it in the B segment.
Yeah, it's get with it. But yeah, this movie, I don't even know where to start. 'Cause I like this movie so much.
Yeah.
Like, it's one that I walked out of the theater hearing how good it was and being so excited to see it. But I walked out of the theater and I was just like, this movie's good. Like, this is just a good movie. And that was kind of my thought on it. It was one of those where it's like, it feels like all the things you can say about it, right? They don't make many of these anymore. These like movie star driven adult dramas. It's PG-13, so it's not like...
Really?
What?
Are there not... Is there not F words in there?
There's one F-bomb.
Oh.
Yeah.
Honestly, would not have surprised me if this was rated R. Because
No.
it has that kind of like maturity.
Yeah. No, it's
without any language.
It's
All
a
right,
PG-13
nice.
movie, yeah.
Why couldn't you have done that, Air?
Okay, literally the example I was going to use, because Air is the shoe version of this movie.
Right.
And Air needed to be PG-13. I think it would have done, I don't know about way better at the box office, but it would have had a bump.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
And they might have marketed it a little
Yeah, I mean, there
more.
are a ton of sub 18-year-old sneakerheads. You know what I mean?
Well,
there are a ton of teenage sneakerheads that I think would have loved to go see a movie like Air.
Now, is it safe to say Ford v Ferrari is an adult drama?
Yeah.
Because it's like not... It's not that it's not made for kids. It's age appropriate for the most time. They deal with pretty heavy subject matter.
Yeah.
But it's not... It's not The Last Duel, right? It's not a movie like that, which is the other one people talk about, Ridley Scott saving the adult drama. And that's another one with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Where it's just made for adults, movie star driven kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's like it's about dudes being good at their job.
Yep.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just making cars go fast.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
In the 60s.
Yeah.
It's just like built for adults in a way that it isn't for like families. It's like, look, it's not inappropriate.
It's not like a Marvel movie, right? Where like
Yeah.
it's kind of just for all ages.
They're not going for 4-quadrant appeal here.
No.
They're you know, this is for the grown-ups.
Yeah, but it's
I've always hated the word grown-ups.
yeah, I get it. I
It's just
understand
like, just
that.
say adult.
Just say
Say
adult.
adult.
Yeah.
What's grown up? It's like it makes me feel like a rug rat.
When you're grown up, you'll understand.
I just always thought that was like the childish way of saying adult.
Yeah,
You know?
that's really funny. But back to the car movie.
I have been waiting to tell the world my opinions on the word grown up, and I finally have the audience to do
That
it.
is so funny. Oh my god.
I finally have the soapbox.
God damn it, that's so good. Well, the floor is yours then. No, vroom vroom car movie.
Vroom car movie.
It's is there a reason you didn't catch it in theaters? Like, it came out 2019.
I don't remember. I don't remember why I wanted to. I really wanted to. I love everyone involved. It looked right up my alley. I don't know why I didn't catch it in theater. I think it was just like in a packed time. Or
Yeah,
something,
maybe, yeah.
Or like I was in a.
Because I remember
was
I had to
busy.
go like late one night after classes back
Yeah.
when I was in college.
Now I need to know when it like what time it was released.
Yeah.
August 2019.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it would have been. I mean, I was thinking like, oh, it was probably during like award season. It's like no, that was like mid
Yeah.
blockbuster fare.
Which makes sense to put something like this out because it's not like it's not pretentious. This movie's just too fun to be pretentious. You know what I mean?
Is that Memorial Day? No,
No,
that would
no,
have been
no.
a couple weeks before.
Um,
or which one?
I-
Don't at me.
I don't look at the calendar before I leave the house anymore.
Yeah.
So or the mirror. That's a joke. But yeah, no. Vroom Vroom car movie. It did well at the box office. It actually did quite well, I think.
Yeah.
And it's coming for James Mangold, who is a director I love. I love James Mangold movies.
You really do.
He has such an
225 million at the box office on a
talking-
$97 million budget. That's bigger than I thought it would be.
That's yeah. I mean, it's got probably quite a few stunts. A lot of that driving is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
when
sure-
you put it like that, I mean,
I'm sure that's probably where a lot of that came.
I mean,
from.
literally just the cars.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
just needing like 15 Ferraris
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a bunch of Ford GTs and like.
Oh, the GT40 is one
Yeah.
of the coolest cars ever designed.
Yeah,
I
it's very
think.
cool.
It's so sick.
It's very, very, very cool.
But I love his movies, and I can't. It's tough to like pinpoint why. You know, like you can pinpoint why you love a Tarantino movie, why you love a Spielberg movie, why you love a Scorsese movie, why you love an Edgar Wright movie. Mangold is different because a lot of his movies are very different.
Yeah.
Like Logan is pure Western.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's Western a la the superhero film.
Yeah.
Ford v Ferrari is not that at all. It's dad cinema about
Yeah.
guys doing their jobs, you know?
I would argue that James Mangold is almost a character in his own movie, where it's like
Oh, interesting.
even he is just a dude who's good at his job.
Yeah, well,
like
but he's also because there's like filmmaker, there's the journeyman director, right?
Yeah.
The guy that like you can't quite pinpoint what their thing is, but if you need someone to come in and make a solid movie, they're a great.
Yeah.
The guy who directed the Casino Royale,
Campbell.
something Campbell, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. Oh god, I keep pulling. It's like we're 5 minutes in, and I've already pulled my phone out 30 times.
We need a Googler for the pod.
We need a. Hey, if you would like to come on and be
Martin Campbell.
Martin Campbell.
So Martin Campbell's like that. Like you can't quite define what a Martin Campbell movie is,
Yeah.
but he's a very good director. James Mangold is not that though. You know what I mean? Like I would never classify James Mangold as a journeyman director because all of his movies feel distinct and deliberate, but he meets them on their level
Yeah.
more than somebody like Tarantino writes and directs all of his movies to be Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
I think James Mangold would be just as happy if somebody watched and went, James Mangold directed this?
Yeah.
Because I think there are people who just like make a movie and all their movies are kind of like they just made a movie. But like Logan is so specifically what it is.
Yeah.
Ford v Ferrari is so specifically what it is. I mean, even something like The Wolverine, which had like studio interference and restrictions and stuff.
Right.
That still feels like what it is, you know? And
Yeah.
even that one feels different than Logan.
Yeah.
I think he's fascinating that way because that's like the kind of director I want to be. I don't want to have like all of my movies have split diopter shots and they're known for their dialogue.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do as a director. So I always looked up to somebody like Mangold who like comes in, and the thing he does better, the thing that I would say is maybe his like pinpoint characteristic as a director, is he always knows what is at the heart of his story.
Yeah.
Always. He knows that Logan is about a father and daughter. He knows that Ford v Ferrari is about filmmaking. Which that is if you didn't know, Ford v Ferrari is 100% about filmmaking.
I agree.
Yeah, but anyway, thoughts on that? Thoughts on him in general?
No, I think very similarly about him and Sam Mendes. I think they are very similar directors in that way, where it's like they're phenomenal directors, routinely knock it out of the park, but they don't really have a noticeable and very distinct like voice or like aesthetic. Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look, we'll talk about Sam Mendes. 1917, American Beauty, Skyfall, Spectre, Revolutionary Road, Road to Perdition, Jarhead, Empire of Light, Away We Go. Like, all of these movies are incredibly different.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with some exceptions, specifically Skyfall and Spectre.
Well, sequels, you know what I mean?
But it's like they are all very, very,
you
very
can look
different.
at his two war movies, Jarhead and 1917.
Yeah.
Entirely different films.
Right. And so it's like, I think where it's like they really meld the look and the tone and the the aesthetic to the material.
The energy,
you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're kind of chameleon directors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like they don't impart all that much of themselves into the movie. They let the movie be the best version of itself.
Yeah, and let the characters speak. You know what I mean? If the characters are, I mean, it's like if you made Requiem for a Dream, but made it really quiet and meditative. It's like, well, that's not exactly what that movie's about.
Yeah,
it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's like making Logan. It's like Edgar Wright making Logan.
Right.
It's weird. That doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And I like that description of them, right? Like they're chameleons. I think that's a really cool, because James Mangold's upcoming projects are Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. He has just announced a Star Wars movie, I think, about the Old Republic. Which they announced like 3 at whatever last expo thing, and he is one of the 3 directors coming on to do more Star Wars movies, which I'm actually really excited about that as a prospect. Like, again, I love Mangold. Never would have pegged him for someone who wanted to do Star Wars. But this other one is the one I'm the most excited about, and the one that feels the most weird to me. He's doing Swamp Thing for DC.
Yeah.
He doesn't make horror movies, and like Swamp Thing is this pseudo horror character, but it's based on this like legendary comic run by Alan Moore.
Yeah.
And it's been described as he's writing and directing it, and it's been described as his passion project. Like the day James Gunn announced all the DC stuff, he posted a picture of Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is one of the last things in that slate of movies that we know about.
Yeah.
I have to imagine nothing else really has a director except for that one thing. It's just really fascinating, the projects he chooses.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get why you do Star Wars, right? I get why you do Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Coming into DC and doing something, that's like an outside thing that, I mean, he did Marvel movies, but I think he did Marvel movies because he's worked with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
He was doing something with the Wolverine, Kate and Leopold.
I'm going to believe you. I've never heard of that movie my entire life.
No one has. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen like Girl Interrupted and that movie. Yeah. He also made Night and Day.
I forgot he made Girl Interrupted. Okay.
Because he went from like that he was in that class of like 90s guys when he made Heavy.
Yeah.
And then he jumps out and does some of those other like what's the movie? I can't remember the movie. It's like the mystery all at a motel. Shit.
So many phones being pulled out for this episode.
So many.
I got it.
Pull up Mangold's.
I'm going to get there first, and it's going to be great. I have no clue. Identity.
Okay. Identity, thank you. Identity, and that's kind of like a contained thriller sort of like, but he does those, then he starts making blockbusters, and now he's kind of a blockbuster guy.
Kate Leopold looks hilariously weird and kind of bad.
Yeah.
All right, interesting.
But anyway, so like I get why he jumps on to do the Wolverine.
Yeah.
I get why somebody does that. Hugh Jackman's asking.
There's a lot of cool shit to like, you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Like you can tell
he doesn't phone it in. A paycheck movie for him is still one of his
You
movies.
could tell what he wanted to do about that movie and what the studio made him
and
do.
it says a lot that he came back for Logan.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's a nerd, apparently. Does Marvel, DC, whatever. But anyway, I just have always been fascinated and really drawn to his movies. Specifically, I think for me, 310 to Yuma,
Yeah.
Logan, and Ford v Ferrari.
Yeah.
Those are like I watch those movies like once a year.
Yeah.
I love them. And I know you're a big 310 to Yuma fan.
I love 310 to Yuma.
It's a
I
great
love
movie.
both versions.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very different, but I love them both. They're both great movies. Did I recommend 310 to Yuma to you, or had you seen it before?
I had watched it and I texted you. I was like, "Have you seen this?" And you were like, "I love that movie." And I was like,
okay,
"Oh, okay."
The movie rules, man.
That movie rules.
Yeah, I had
you
a
should
healthy-
watch it with the commentary on.
Oh,
This goes
yeah.
for any of his movies.
Yeah.
He gets so romantic about the characters.
Yeah.
It's like he's just like, oh, he's this man. And like his son can't look at him, and like he just gets so impassioned about it. I love it. He has said he's one of those guys I could listen to talk about movies all day, and I don't think there's a Ford v Ferrari commentary, and that is just a travesty. Yeah. Anyway, back to Ford v Ferrari.
Yeah.
The cast is one of the best parts of this movie.
Perfect.
Like, I never would have thought Matt Damon and Christian Bale were the duo I needed.
Yeah.
Like, it's just really interesting.
They have such different like energies as performers, you know what I mean, throughout their filmography, but like, man, this blessed union is
They're
good.
both kind of character actors.
Yeah.
Like, Matt Damon has like aged into it, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Christian Bale's always been a character actor, I think.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So that is fascinating, but like all the supporting characters also, like John Bernthal is in this movie.
Yeah. I forgot about
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
so it's the cast, I think, carries a lot of it.
Yeah.
But
it has that kind of like older Hollywood feel of
movie
like,
stars coming together. But I also think it's the scene when they're fighting. And he grabs the can and then puts the can down and grabs the bread because he doesn't actually want to hurt him. He's
love
like
that.
hitting him with it, and then he does the freaking thing, like grabs him. He's like, "What was that little nippy thing?" It's like, call that the camel bite.
That fucking got me. I call that the camel bite.
So funny. But I think the thing that sets this movie apart is the filmmaking, is the directing.
Yeah.
It's like these race scenes are so intricate
Yeah.
in a way. Like there's the specifically the 7,000 RPM go like hell sequence
Yeah.
is like my favorite in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it just kicks in and then it has this one shot where it's like ripping down the track with the car and then it peels off and the camera car goes down a different road and it keeps
Yeah.
it's like some of that stuff is so unbelievably well crafted.
Dude, my butthole was so tight throughout that entire 2.5 hour movie.
I know,
I
right?
swear. It is a very tense movie about people making cars go fast.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's so good. But the filmmaking is great. The momentum. It's a movie kind of like Top Gun Maverick, another entry in dad cinema.
Truly. Again, guys being good at their job.
Guys being good at their job, doing something very hard.
Yeah.
But it simulates going fast so well.
Yeah.
Like you feel the speed in so many of these
No,
moments.
I agree.
It's which I love. I lost my train of thought.
I think this movie is incredible at keeping up the momentum, keeping up the tension. Some of these sequences are not short.
No.
Like, this is not a short movie. So it's like these race sequences, like many of them are people driving around, a track, going one direction on a track, and yet he finds a way to consistently and constantly keep ramping up the tension and ramping up the stakes.
Well, yeah, the race is the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Right.
So that's not going to be a short sequence.
Yeah.
It's obviously not 24 hours, but it's prolonged.
Yeah.
Like it's the race is like the whole third act of the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And they don't get the liberty of like breaking it up in a traditional sports movie way with the halftime speech. Like he comes out and sits down, but they do other stuff. They find ways to pull you out of the car and put you in the pit crew, and like Matt Damon stealing the watches, and he's like, "Where'd you get that?" He's like, "You want one? It's Italian." It's so good.
Good shit.
Now I want to talk about this a little bit. This movie is an allegory for filmmaking.
Yeah.
Right? Like you agree with that?
Yeah, I that's what I've heard a billion times. I'd be interested to see exactly how, in your opinion, how that fully, how the full picture of that.
So look at Ford as the American film studio and business,
right?
And look at Ferrari as like either the indie world where you can kind of do whatever you want, or like foreign cinema where it like puts a lot more emphasis on the art, right? So there's the setup of that, and James Mangold talks about this, right? He's like, I don't really care about cars or racing. He's like, I do now because I made this movie.
Yeah, you have to, I guess.
Yeah, but it's like it's not. His way in was he was like, well, I'm watching these two dudes battle it out in the streets to make the thing they want to make as good as they want to make it because they believe in it.
Yeah.
Just like a filmmaker has to fight and claw to get his thing made that he's worked on for a decade, to get his shot, to make his thing, to put it out in the world, to try to succeed.
Yeah.
It's like the allegory is that they're the two, they're the writer and the director, you know what I mean? The director and the star. And Enzo Ferrari, and James Mangold is funny about this. He's like, I actually agree with the Ferrari method more. Like, I like the idea of the craftsmanship and chasing that perfection, and how it's all about the art and the pursuit of it, versus Ford, it's about money and glory. Yeah. And Ford is the studio, you know, he's the producer. But that's like the core allegory of it.
Yeah.
And the way, and I think this is important for any director and any writer and any actor or whatever, is you have to find your way into a story. Because the truth is, James Mangold doesn't race. He doesn't know about racing, didn't care about racing. I know. Tom Cruise does, but whatever. Did you see Tom Cruise as a pit crew at a Formula One thing this like a week ago or something? I don't know what Tom Cruise is doing. Anyway, that's something
just
that happened.
Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Anyway, that I think is a really... or his way into the story is finding that angle. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're telling a story about someone who is nothing like you, you still have to find the emotional way in so you can tell the emotional story. So you're not going, this is cool and things blow up. You're going, what's the character thinking about in this moment? And then that helps you frame the scene. You know, like the scene when the brake fade the first time. And the car crashes. He frames that from the perspective of Ken Miles' son. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everyone runs past him and we just hover on him. Yeah. It's when Ken doesn't get to go to that first race. Yeah. And he's listening to it on the radio. They project like the lights hitting the shadow of the car, making them race past him, because that's his journey. You know what I mean? What is he thinking about in this moment? He's not thinking about how angry and mad he is. He's thinking about, I need to be there. I need to evolve. I need to do this. It's like knowing what your characters are doing, having a way to meet them cellularly is so important, and few people do it like James Mangold. Yeah. But yeah, fucking movie about filmmaking.
Yeah, I had heard that, and I was like watching it thinking like, so is he like the director? And then he's like in the same way that like, you could look at like the Ocean's movies as analogs for filmmaking, or like what was the other one? I just had it in my head.
Speed Racer is the other one where people joke it's about cars, but it's secretly about filmmaking.
That's hilarious.
Which is awesome.
What was the other one? I literally just had it in my head. Inception.
Interesting. Yeah. I haven't heard that.
Really?
I haven't heard that like reading of it. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally about like creating dreams. Yeah. You've got like the Tom Hardy's characters, like the actor.
Well,
and like
I don't know if you know. Some people say The Fabelmans is actually about filmmaking.
Whoa, dude! I didn't even read it like that. That's actually
it's nuts, right? Did you know that guy's like kind of based on Steven Spielberg? Sammy Fabelman. I know, insane.
But yeah, I didn't. I was thinking kind of from that perspective of like, okay, so who's like the the cinematographer, because like that very much has those like kind of very specific analogs in some of these others, like movie not about making movies but is actually about making movies movie. So it's like I actually really appreciate that idea of like, you know, like kind of like foreign or indie cinema versus the American studio, and
but
like,
how you can still make a great thing in the system.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right,
You
right,
just
right.
have to fight way harder for it and risk way more for it.
right.
It's one of the best scenes when he's like, man pays $6 million for an automobile. He ought to be able to look at it. And he's like, we can do a lot more than that. And they get him in the car and he just takes off and he's driving. He's like, whoa, boy.
That was like the only scene that I had seen before, is that part where they start
starts
just start
crying,
boo-hooing.
Yeah, but that scene
Oh,
also
it's so
caps
good.
with that not being making fun of him.
Yeah.
You see that even the guy that is seemingly the enemy, the guy
Yeah.
that keeps going back on them, the head of the studio, the epitome of like dumb, distant boss,
Yeah.
cares deeply about it.
Right.
He gives a shit.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that is one of those things you get whenever you know the character and whenever you know the thing. And I think that also helps with the writing.
Yeah.
It's important to say that those writers knew to go, if my father could see this, instead of just
Yeah.
making it be like, sir, this is what we've built.
Yeah.
You need to let us keep building it. They make it personal.
Yeah. No, definitely like dealing with the lineage, you know what I mean? Like dealing with your legacy.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a huge part of it. And a huge part of it that makes him like, at first he is just kind of this like almost omniscient force. And then like with that, you actually get to see like the sun, you know what I mean?
And then there's also just this stand-in for like the shitty producer or shitty executive who has it
Yes.
out for you with BD, what's his name?
BB,
whatever. With Morse code. Sorry, Sir Morse code. He's been knighted. But yeah, with him and how that kind of he's the real like antagonist of the movie.
Yeah, truly.
Even more than Ferrari, because Ferrari's just absent until except for that little scene setting it up and then the scene at the end. But I also love that Enzo Ferrari tips his hat to Ken Miles, the man who actually did the thing, the man who actually beat him, not Henry Ford.
Yeah.
No. He looks down at the man who did it and went, "You have my respect." And it's like that's another thing I love.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool. I love this movie, dude.
Yeah. Good ass movie. I actually really find it really, I don't know how much of this is like accurate and or true, like whether or not Ford was actually trying to buy Ferrari and then
they use that to pivot it to get a bigger price from somebody who would give him what he wanted from Fiat. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like I don't know how much of that is true, but I actually love that idea of like it didn't take a smart business move to make Ford actually want to do. It took people disrespecting him to actually like commit to doing this and showing them up, you know.
Go to war, Shelby.
Yeah, exactly. I actually really like that.
Yeah, well, no, again, it's that movie has these like such interesting angles with all of its characters. Like Carroll Shelby's like a hustler, you know what I mean? He's wheeling and dealing these cars out, and he's like, "You sold that car 3 times this week." He's like, and Steve McQueen, forgot about McQueen. It's like that kind of thing. When I also love the scene when he lands the plane.
Yes,
and he kind of like drifts it in. It's so good.
It's so good.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a movie about people. You know what I mean? Like even in the end with this, like spoiler, Ken Miles gets cheated out of winning Le Mans technically, because Ford was prideful because there was that man whispering in his ear and cost this man something.
Yeah,
right. There's that, but immediately he leans back over to, I've had some ideas about different this, and they just walk off. They're like, well, let me shower and eat and we'll get back to work. You know what I mean? It's like, there's something about that screams filmmaker to me.
Yeah.
Something about that where it's like, you get to the end of a shoot and you want to sit down and die.
Yeah.
And then you lean back and go, well, there's that idea for that project I've been stuck on. Okay, maybe that's what I need to, and then you just keep going.
You're always striving for perfection.
Exactly.
You know? It's like the end goal isn't the win. The end goal is perfection. Is the perfect lap.
Which is like, yes, exactly.
You know,
and I love what his son when he's talking to him, that which is such a beautiful scene when he's talking to his son on the track, and it's so simple. Again, it's one of those scenes where it's like 2 shots is all it is.
Yeah,
but it's gorgeous and so well written, so well performed. That kid is amazing.
Yeah.
Funny story. He's the kid from A Quiet Place, right?
Yeah.
George Clooney directed him in a movie before he was in A Quiet Place. So John Krasinski asked about him. He's like, hey, how is he? I know working with kids can sometimes be. And he's like, yeah, whatever you plan for him, like day wise, trim a day out. That's how good he is. He'll just do it. Like,
knock it out.
You will not need as much time as you think because he's that good. And like watching this movie and then those, he's so amazing. But it's like that scene. He's like, you can't do that for every lap. And he's like, I can try. And in the last race, he does. He runs he has a perfect lap.
Yeah.
But not all of them are perfect. You know what I mean? He stumbles and he gets there though. And it's such a fucking good movie.
Yeah.
With so many moving parts. The way
a car.
Like a
car has many moving parts.
It's a conspiracy. But they talked about the way they filmed Le Mans.
Yeah.
Where it was so intricate where there was like 3 or 4 different pieces of track they had to race on because the original Le Mans is not there anymore. So they had to simulate it. So like this turn they would have to shoot for like 3 weeks, but they would have to have like 6 cars there because the car wears at different points and things happen to it. And so then he would have to take the turn here and then do it different and then film from a different angle and know which car to use when. Yeah. And then they would have to go to the second location and do all of that again and know which lap they're on when they're filming what. And I was like, that first AD needs a raise.
Shout out to the first AD.
Like, I can't imagine what their spreadsheet looked like.
No kidding.
Anyway,
it looked like the Matrix.
It's like eventually you don't even see colors. It's just the red.
Blonde, brunette.
So fucking good. Damn it, that's so funny.
Yep.
Anyway, do you have any other thoughts on this one? Any other?
No. Good movie.
Good fucking movie.
Yeah. No, I have no hot takes or wonderful insight. I just have a good feeling because I really like that movie.
Yeah. So then I guess lessons. Is there anything you want to take away from that?
I'll let you start and then see if I can't piggyback off
it. Okay. I mean, there's a couple things, right? Like I think that first AD thing is also something is like that one that can make or break your project. Is having somebody who's very good at their job do their job like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. I think knowing how to shoot your movie is important.
Yeah.
Because like a movie about racing would be really easy to fuck up if you did the momentum wrong.
Yeah. As we've seen with many bad racing movies.
Yes. But I think my main lesson is kind of what we talked about is like finding your way into a story.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm writing this script right now and it is about something that is not about me at all in any way. Mm-hmm. The characters and the main characters and like who she is, what she's experienced. Not. So I've asked people. I've asked women. I've asked actors. I've asked writer directors. I've been like, hey, I shouldn't work on this, right? Like I should pass this off to someone and let them kind of like do it. And then the answer I've gotten from multiple people is no, just listen to the people who tell. When you get notes, listen to us. Like we will tell you and we will call you on it. And you need to listen to us, right? But my way into that script is something very deeply personal to me. Yeah. It has nothing to do, like, the character experienced things that I'll never experience, but my way in is like, there's something about her that I have a way in that I can understand her. Yeah. And I think that's so important, because I couldn't fucking write that if I didn't know the character. Yeah. And James Mangold couldn't make this movie if he didn't frame the core relationship of Ken Miles and Carol Shelby correctly, where they're these, like, friends. At the end of the day, it's like finding your way into a story is as important as just being good at your job, as being a good director. Yeah. Because like there's a ton of great directors who make movies that are like, I don't really give a shit about this. Yeah. Because I don't give a shit about the characters, but no James Mangold movie I've walked out of going, I just don't give a shit at all. Yeah. I'm always engaged, even Night and Day, which is a movie I don't like that much. At the end of the day, I understand the relationship between these two and I get where he entered the story. Yeah. I think that's the most important part of directing, honestly, is that. Yeah. And James Mangold is such a great example of that. Yeah. So yeah, I think about that all the time.
I agree. I don't have any hot takes. I don't have any interesting insights. I agree wholeheartedly with everything you just said.
All right, cool. Segment?
Yeah. So last time we talked about Steel Magnolias and we talked about mom movies. Today we've been talking about the epitome of dad cinema from the Best Living Dad Cinema filmmaker. So we've talked, in my opinion, if you were to define dad cinema, how would you define it? I think one facet of dad cinema is the thing I keep saying, which is like a dude being good at his job. Like that is a very big cornerstone of dad cinema.
Like a lot of sports movies are dad cinema, right? Like I'll use Miracle as an example because that's a top 10 dad movie, I think.
Yeah. Bonus points if dad interests are a part of it. So, like sports, cars.
But Miracle is about a coach who's really good at being a coach doing the impossible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Top Gun Maverick is maybe the most dad. When I went and saw that movie, I walked into the theater and I went, there were like a ton of fathers and sons dressed as fighter pilots.
Right.
When the lights dimmed, not when the movie started, when the lights in the theater dimmed for the trailers to start, they cheered.
Yeah.
I've never experienced, it was like they were seeing fucking Avengers and they were 12.
Know, right?
It was wild. And also the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Truly.
But that's a movie about a guy who's the best at what he does, doing something impossible.
Yeah.
Ford v Ferrari is about two guys who are incredible at what they do, doing something very hard.
Yeah.
It's like that is the cornerstone of dad cinema. I think there's other things.
Yeah, I definitely think there's like movies that don't necessarily like fit that exact description of dude is good at job.
Yeah.
Because again, I'd even say something like a movie like Shawshank is the epitome of dad cinema. Even though it's like it's not his job to be in prison, he's just like I think like a dude outsmarting people.
Yeah, well, a dude in a tough situation outsmarting people.
Yeah,
or surviving the situation and making the best of it.
Yeah,
dad cinema,
truly.
Air, dad cinema,
dad cinema.
Great at Moneyball, dad cinema.
Yeah,
truly. I love Moneyball.
Yeah, so if we were to make our Mount Rushmore of dad cinema, I mean, I think you have to go Top Gun.
I think Top Gun Maverick is your Washington.
Yeah, truly.
I'll be honest. Ford v. Dan Merle in a video. Dan Merle, film critic. He made a video once and he was talking about like his film collection. Yeah, and he pulled up Ford v. Ferrari and he's like, "Hey, if you're a dad, they issue you one of these, and it's the Ford v. Ferrari." He's like, if you're over 55, they just send you a DVD
These
copy.
Are just like standard issue.
But it was I genuinely think it's like Top Gun Maverick, Ford v. Ferrari.
I think does Saving Private Ryan fit in there?
That's tough.
We've got Dad Interest, which is World War II, and we've got Tom Hanks being real fucking good at his job.
Yeah. That's tough because I also think in certain ways it like now, you know what? Fuck it. I think war movies tend to be dad cinema too.
Hardcore.
You know
again.
what? Fuck it. Saving Private Ryan. Dad
Shaving
cinema.
Ryan's Privates. Are definitely. I think that should be up there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of action movies, sports movies. A Miracle, honestly, is one of the at least for my dad. That's one of my dad's favorite movies.
Yeah. I think we need a Western in there.
We need a Western, but is it? It's not The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
No.
Is it True Grit?
Oh, it's True Grit.
It's True Grit.
It is the original John Wayne True Grit. Yep. We need Johnny Wayne in there. I would argue that like a movie like Gran Torino also kind of fits
interesting.
in there.
Is Gran Torino a little too well? Wasn't there a classifier we had when we were joking about what is dad cinema that like it can't be too hard R? Did we talk about that?
I disagreed with that. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't.
I haven't seen Gran Torino. I just know it's a very like hard movie.
I think we grew up in different houses with different fathers. I can tell you confidently, my dad does not give a shit about how hard the R is.
Yeah. Okay. Gran Torino. Yeah. Another Clint Eastwood movie, American Sniper. That's dad cinema.
Oh, that's dad cinema.
That's dad cinema.
That's dad cinema. Yeah. I think honestly, I think the last portion of the dad cinema Mount Rushmore is just Denzel Washington.
Fucking true though.
Dude, there is nothing in this world that dad loves more than Denzel. They could be the biggest racist piece of shit on the planet and they will still be like,
Man on
Denzel,
Fire's
though.
pretty good.
Fucking Man on Fire's not
Training
bad.
Day.
Have you
King Kong really didn't.
Have you seen Deja Vu? My dad fucking loves that movie.
I've never seen it.
It is
Have you seen The Equalizer? He equalizes.
dude, literally. I mean, The Equalizer.
That's dad cinema.
That's dad cinema.
yeah.
I mean, just yeah.
The Magnificent Seven.
Yes. Yeah. Bunch of dudes being good at their job.
Yep.
Bunch of dudes.
The 7 of them.
Whoa. Dude, I didn't even realize.
That's why it's called that. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
7. There's Magnificent. There's
Any
7.
other like obviously I think you've got Clint Eastwood. I think you've
Clint
got
Eastwood, yeah, is a
Denzel.
staple. Keanu Reeves, somewhat. I think he's, but he also kind of transcends it in a way that I don't know.
And I agree with that. I think he's too. I think he's got too much appeal in too many other places to be like.
And he's in too much not dad cinema.
I agree with that. That being said, like John Wick and
is a movie like Castaway dad cinema?
That's a ooh.
Is that dad cinema?
That is a great question.
Because it's like a survival movie, and I
Yeah.
feel like there's this innate thing about dads and
Like,
survival.
I could do that.
I could do that.
I bet I could do that.
Yeah.
That I don't know why. I don't know why it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel 100% dad movie, but it has a lot of. It's about a guy in a tough situation doing it well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is it dad cinema?
Is Forrest Gump dad cinema?
No.
No, Forrest Gump's not dad cinema.
No. He's too stupid. It's you know what I mean? Like
Is Pulp Fiction?
he's too nice and good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's not outsmarting or any. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's like
He's killing them with kindness.
The thing about that movie is like it's a miracle that this like not the brightest man in the whole world is doing all these amazing things. You know what I mean? I don't think that quite fits. What was the other one you said?
Pulp Fiction? Or is any Tarantino? Let me ask you that. Is any Tarantino?
Inglourious Bastards
is dad cinema for sure?
Yeah. Again, like I think like I don't think Pulp Fiction is. I feel like
Indiana Jones.
yeah.
Why did I not? Why
Just
is that?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison, yeah.
Harrison-
The Fugitive, the fucking
The
Fugitive.
Fugitive, man. My God.
I like that movie a lot, but that is
I love
a dad
that movie. I love
That's
that movie.
a dad movie.
I got raised on a healthy diet of The Fugitive.
you
As
ever
my
seen
dad
U.S. Marshals, the sequel to
I've
it?
seen chunks of it. That's the one with
Robert Downey Jr.
It's got what's his name in it, right?
Oh, Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah,
no,
he's
well,
in that
obviously
too.
Tommy Lee Jones. No, Blade. What's his name?
Wesley Snipes.
He's
Yes.
in there, right? Yeah, okay.
He is.
Yeah.
That one's dad cinema. Not that one. The Fugitive more
The
so.
Fugitive
but
for
that by
sure.
proxy is
Again,
like,
two dudes being
Yeah.
very good at their jobs
Yeah.
in opposition,
yeah.
but they're both right.
Yep. God.
Oh, that is the epitome. I mean, like Air Force One.
Con Air.
Okay, so I looked up before this conversation. I looked up like lists of dad cinema, and Con Air was on there, and I'm like, I feel like that one's a little too like muscle headed to be like truly dad cinema. But you could make it is a guy who's good at his like
Is any Michael Bay dad cinema? Is Bad Boys isn't dad cinema?
no you make that argument of like is it too crude? That one almost feels
Bad Boys 2 for sure is too crude.
I've seen neither of
Bad
these
Boys
movies.
2 is made. Patrick Willems has a wonderful video on Bad Boys 2 and why it's made for literally no one.
Yeah.
Watch that video. It's great.
Well, that's in the American Tour video.
Doesn't he
right?
have a Patrick?
Does he have a
Explains?
separate one?
He
I don't
might.
know.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't
It's in
remember
that or the American Tour one.
Yeah.
Anyway, Michael Bay. Other than The Rock, maybe, but
The Rock, maybe.
Independence Day.
Yeah, like that definitely fits.
It's a lowercase d dad movie.
lowercase d dad cinema. Dad movie more than like it is not dad cinema. It is dad.
It's
movie.
a dad movie.
It's a dad. Movie.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we got most of the
I
like
think, yeah.
powerhouse
It's like
ones. Name more for us, by the way. Like, pick out dad cinema movies.
Yes.
We need to have a month where we just watch dad cinema.
yeah.
Not even for the podcast, just for us.
Yeah, next June for next Father's Day, because I would almost consider this our Father's Day episode. We did Mother's Day
Day
last
and
time, Father's Day this time.
Dads, you do a lot.
Dads, you do a lot, do. Hey, Yeah, any other like Titan actors? I mean, like we've got Harrison Ford and Clint Eastwood, Denzel, Tom Cruise, kind of.
Tom Cruise now, I think,
Now for sure,
because like Mission Impossible isn't dad cinema, but it's
adjacent.
It's watching a guy very good at his job literally do the impossible. It's like it's dad movie, not dad cinema, dad movie.
But
Bond is Bond dad cinema. Bond might just transcend it and just be dad cinema.
I think Bond is its own cinema because
Yeah.
there's 50 of those fucking movies.
I'm trying to think of modern day dad cinema actors. Like the young dad cinema.
I mean,
actor.
like I feel like Matt Damon is like
Matt Damon is a generation's
fully
dad
there
actor
now
Yeah.
with
True.
Ford v Ferrari
True.
and Air
and Stillwater
and
The Last Duel.
and The Last Duel. Yeah, he is like fully transitioned into dad cinema only actor,
Which I love that for
which
him.
I'm super here
I
for.
love Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Matt Damon does not get enough credit. And being in the Bourne movies, which is like
Yeah.
kicked it off for everybody.
Yeah.
Matt Damon.
Anyway,
That's dad cinema,
that's
dude.
dad cinema. We've got our Mount Rushmore of actors and movies, and Denzel Washington happens just to be in both. So yeah. Recommendation?
I'll let you kick it off. I didn't think of one, so now I have to.
Yeah. I have something that is not a wonderful recommendation. I'm going to recommend it anyways. It's an episode of a podcast. It is the Verge cast. It's the Verge news. They're an online tech news source, and their flagship podcast, the Verge cast. They did an episode recently about movies, like all about movies, and like one segment was talking with the writer director of the movie Blackberry, talking about tech movies and why a lot of tech movies are kind of bad, and why and kind of like his thought process around making that, as well as there was a lengthy conversation around commentaries. Why commentaries aren't on streaming services. Like it would be for Netflix, you have every language under the sun right at your fingertips. Why could we not also get a commentary? It's a very interesting conversation. Hopefully there's a world where directors' commentaries come back or are more of a focus. That being said, there are some weird alternatives that some directors are doing. Like there are directors going on podcasts and doing whole podcast episodes.
David F. Sandberg, when Lights Out came out, there was no commentary track, and somebody on Reddit asked him, and he said, "Give me a minute." And then like 2 hours later, he uploaded one because he just recorded it on his own. Yeah, which is awesome.
The official commentary for Glass Onion is just a podcast episode on Spotify, and he literally has to be like, okay, start the movie. You know what I mean? They go into length about that whole thing. So
it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's a great episode of that podcast, by the way. It's very informative, very interesting.
Yeah. So, that sucks that is what we are getting. That being said, there is a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff that we're getting at the same time. When you think of things like what HBO does with a lot of their shows, like bringing in, the creative crew to do these like multi-episode thing. Those are cool. And I like that kind of stuff. I wish commentaries were more of a focus than they are currently. So it feels like it would be easy and cheap to do, and it would be a cool differentiator for your streaming service. So Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max.
I can't believe HBO Max doesn't focus on it.
Just call me. I've got a great idea for you to make some money and to differentiate yourself. It would probably be really cheap. Anyways.
Nice. I can't believe we didn't talk about Sylvester Stallone as a dad actor.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, Rockies.
Fucking Rocky, Rambo.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah, Rambo.
Fucking
was definitely the first
Cliffhanger. Cobra. Over the top.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Depending.
He's a dad.
Fucking Bruce Willis. Die Hard.
Bruce Willis, very sad story in recent years, but he's I feel very bad for him and his family, but he's making it through.
Yeah.
Die Hard. In my heart.
Recommendation.
I bring up Sly because I rewatched Rocky the original one, after having not seen it for many years.
Yeah.
And Rocky is the movie that made me fall in love with like filmmaking and cinema. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It holds up incredibly.
Yeah.
I love it dearly, and I hadn't seen it in a long, like probably the longest stretch since having seen it for the first time. I used to watch a Rocky movie every single day. As like a kid, when I first saw them, I would watch a different one every single day. I still have the VHSs.
Hell yeah.
I own more copies of Rocky than any other movie.
That does not surprise me.
I own the VHS, I own the Blu-ray, and I own the 4K.
Everybody knows what movie I own the most copies of.
Paddington.
No, it's not Paddington.
It's Moneyball. You and me and Dad's cinema copies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Anyway, I watched it again, and that movie still moves me profoundly.
Yeah.
I've seen it 20 times and it still works like it's the first time. You know what I mean? That movie is incredible. I'm recommending one of the most famous movies ever.
Yeah.
But it's one of the most famous movies forever for a reason.
Guys, hold on to your butts. I'm going to say something crazy. Rocky, pretty darn good.
Rocky's pretty darn good.
You know what? This Sylvester Stallone guy might have a career ahead of him.
Best picture winning film, Rocky. Pretty good.
Talia Shire, she might. I don't know who her family is, but I feel like she's got some good genes.
And on top of that, I'll recommend Rocky 2, I think one of the great sequels. Rocky 2 is equally amazing.
Yeah.
It's not quite as good, but it's great. You know what I mean?
So you wouldn't say it's equally amazing. I'm just kidding.
I hate you.
Yeah, no, Rocky, literally all of the Rocky movies except for one are all great.
Great.
Yeah.
To varying degrees for varying different reasons.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I think that is incredibly
It goes
important.
through different eras, and the Creed movies also rule.
Yeah.
Anyway, watch the Rocky movies, but watch that first one for sure.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But you have that. You have a podcast episode to listen to. You have a ton of dad cinema to dive into.
Like a ton.
Like so much dad cinema. So you should start doing that. Or, I don't know. Live your life.